our goal every week when we're playing against another team. We want to get the win at the end of the game, and when we put all those things together, especially when Jeff's leading the team down last second drives both weeks. It's exciting.
That was Davis Mills, quarterback of your Houston Texans, after they improved to 2-0 in the preseason on Friday night against the defending Super Bowl champs. That really just means that the bottom third of Texans roster played better that particular night than the bottom third of the Rams roster. Make of it what you will. The preseason nearly coming to an end, as we will have the final game between the Texans and the 49ers Thursday night. You can watch it on Fox 26. We will have our Texans tailgate special pregame, get you all set up for the upcoming season. We'll get into that and a whole lot more tonight on the Fox 26 Sportstream. As always, I'm Sal Manine, sports producer here at Fox 26. We appreciate you joining us. We do this every Monday night just after 7 o'clock. You can go to our YouTube channel. Just search Fox 26 Houston in YouTube. You'll find our channel. You can go on Twitter. You can go to our website, of course, fox26houston.com, or find us on our Facebook page. And as always, if you want the most up-to-the-minute news, updates, nuggets, anything you need to know as it pertains to Houston sports, you got to make sure you're following our sports director, Mark Berman. You can find him on Twitter, his handle at Mark Berman, Fox 26. We'll delve into the Texans, who resumed training camp after getting the weekend off following that win Friday night at SoFi Stadium. We'll hear from head coach Lovie Smith. He'll give us his update on where things stand in the plan for Thursday night. And then we got to talk Astros baseball. The Astros once again atop the American League standings. We've been talking about it for a few weeks, but it was really only a matter of time, and that is where Alex Bregman, Yordan Alvarez, and company find themselves back home this week. They get today off. Then they start a homestand with the Minnesota Twins, meaning Carlos Correa makes his return to Minute Maid Park starting tomorrow night, and then the Baltimore Orioles in town after that. So we'll also talk some Astros baseball, and we'll check in with the UH Cougars, the nationally ranked U of H Cougars, as they are about a week away from the start of the college football season. They will play their first game a week from Saturday when they visit UTSA, and there's a very good chance that they get through that. They get through week 2 when they go to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech. The Dana Holgerson's kids could possibly be staring at a 12-0 regular season. So got a lot to get to as things roll along here, but want to start with the Texans. I mentioned they were back out at the practice fields across the street from NRG Stadium this morning. They'll practice again tomorrow. That's when they'll start to really take a look at the 49ers, and then training camp's done, and they'll have a lengthy layoff, chance to heal up, and then it's on to week 1 when the Texans will host the Indianapolis Colts. But let's hear from head coach Lovie Smith on where his team stands right now and how they are planning to approach the third and final preseason game Thursday night against the San Francisco 49ers.
Have some bumps and bruises like everybody does this time of the year. Tomorrow we'll transition to getting ready for San Fran. As far as playing time for them, we're going to play the guys a lot more this week. This is a game we've kind of been shooting for, to play the guys, not going to say exactly how long right now, but a lot more.
So that's the plan. If you watch the first 2 preseason games, you would notice that there are a lot of regulars, names that you're used to seeing, that you expected to see, who were not out there or were out there very sparingly. We did finally get to see Derek Stingley Jr., the 3rd overall pick, the first of the Texans' 2 first-round draft picks this most recent draft. He made his preseason debut against the Rams, had a nice pass breakup, and got some very nice words afterwards from Jalen Ramsey, who's widely considered one of, if not the best cover corner in the league, that he had nothing but nice things to say about what he projects as the future for Derek Stingley. So Stingley's listed as a starter on the depth chart going into Thursday. Again, it's the preseason, so make of it what you will, but maybe this is where you finally see most of the first team offense out there, because it really took a while to get going in the game against the Rams. And again, you weren't seeing the full complement of the best 11 on offense going out there for the Texans. They did finally, right before the halftime, find the end zone against the Rams. Philip Dorsett, who seems to have stamped his claim on the third receiver spot opposite Brandon Cooks and Nico Collins, made a terrific grab along the sidelines, tapped the toes. They reviewed it, held it up, and then it led to a Nico Collins touchdown, again, with a guy all over him, a well-placed ball by Davis Mills. So maybe you finally get to see a little bit more of that as far as the Texans going no huddle, showing some urgency where we saw Friday night, and certainly going back to last season, that's an area where Davis Mills has had a lot of positive results when he is able to get out of the huddle, just call plays at the line, just go, go, go. How exactly that all plays out, we will still find out. That was a topic of discussion this morning at practice, just how much of the offense have fans and media members gotten to see so far in training camp and in the preseason? And here's what the Texans had to say about that.
I would say a lot of it. I mean, obviously in the preseason, you don't want to show your best stuff. And Brandon hasn't even played yet, so it's, you know what I'm saying, we're not showing a lot. So you got to keep a lot of it secret. I mean, you always got the coaches are going to be watching. So, I mean, we're going to open it up eventually, but not yet.
Well, you got to keep in mind that we haven't played our entire offense together. We've had 2-3 linemen out, tight end, and it's not in there. Running back went in there this week. Wide receiver went there. So I wouldn't put too much into it. We like what we're getting in practice. Those guys are healthy. We'll be ready to go when they need to go.
So again, Lovie Smith pointing out that even though, yes, the Texans are not going to go out there and be the next '07 Patriots or the greatest show on turf or any of the vaunted offenses that you've seen before, but they haven't gone out there and said, these are our 5 best offensive linemen, best running back, our starting wide receivers, the whole shebang. So will we see more of that against the 49ers on Thursday? And if we do, just how many snaps are guys like Brandon Cooks, who's a veteran? You know what you're getting with him. Do you really want to risk injury? Just how long is he going to be out there? We saw Dameon Pierce, who was really the big story for the Texans in that first preseason game against the New Orleans Saints, didn't play at all against the Rams. Lovie Smith said, we've seen what we need to see from Dameon Pierce. We got other running backs we got to take a look at. And if you saw the way he ran against the Saints, I think if you're a Texans fan, you'd go, yeah, I'm fine with that. Hold them out until week 1. Don't risk an injury, anything weird happening in games that don't ultimately count. It looks, again, reading through the tea leaves, that Dameon Pierce, if he's not the starting tailback week 1, he's certainly going to be the featured back much sooner rather than later for the Houston Texans. So if he doesn't see the field on Thursday, I don't think Texans fans should worry too much or would be upset about that, because you know what you got in a strong, hard-nosed runner like Dameon Pierce. So we will see just who is and is not out there Thursday night. Again, you can watch the game on Fox 26. And we will have our Texans tailgate pregame show beforehand, get you all set for the upcoming season. So that is where things stand on the professional front. Checking in quickly in the college front, as I mentioned, less than 2 weeks now until U of H will play its first game of the regular season when they visit UTSA, and that is arguably the most difficult game on their schedule. Obviously, it's still August, so a lot can happen between now and when the Cougs get into the heart of American Athletic Conference play, but UTSA and Tech both on the road to open things up. And UH, if they can get over that hump, there's no reason that they cannot go 12-0, barring any kind of wackiness or just crazy injuries. Here's Dana Holgorsen on where things stand with his team as they continue to wrap up preseason camp and get ever so closer to that opener.
You know, every day has been good. You know, we haven't had any bad days. You know, we've been practicing well. We've been taking care of each other. We've been very professional. I'm happy with where we're at, and that has everything to do with maturity and guys with experience. We're getting a lot done. We're where we need to be. We just got to keep logging reps and letting them compete and let this thing kind of settle out.
And as we mentioned last week, U of H checking in right at the bottom of the top 25 polls in both the Associated Press and Coaches top 25. And CBS Sports, as they were going through their conference by conference projections, was even making the case that U of H very much could go 12-0, and at least right now would probably be favored if they were to play Cincinnati, because the Bearcats did lose a lot of talent, a lot of high-end talent from that team that beat them in the conference title game last year. So who knows? Is there possibly a case for the Cougs at the end of the year for a spot in the college football playoffs, at the very least to play in one of the big New Year's Day bowls, one of the New Year's Six bowls? We will have to wait and see. But again, a little less than 2 weeks now until U of H visits UTSA. We will be there in San Antonio on September 3rd. And of course, we'll have you all set with everything you need to know as we get closer to that. All right, now we got to talk baseball. Again, it's still August. We've kind of been saying it for weeks now. We just want to get to October at this point. And when we do get there, in all likelihood, it looks like the Houston Astros are going to be the number 1 seed. Here's the updated standings in the American League. The Astros 3.5 games clear of the New York Yankees right now, meaning they would have home field advantage throughout the American League playoffs. Obviously, the Dodgers have been playing on another level. So as to who exactly will finish with the top overall record and thus home field advantage in the World Series, still got a ways to go in that regard. But if it does come down to New York and Houston, which it looks like that would be the case for much of the season, then you want to be able to play a potential game 6 or 7 in Minute Maid Park, where the Astros have been so good against nearly everybody in the postseason, but especially since they've met the Yankees 2 of the past 5 seasons in the American League playoffs. And so right now, things certainly in the Astros' favor. And even though it looks like, all right, the Yanks aren't that far behind the Astros, let's go back and actually take a closer look. Since the first time that the Yankees played the Astros, that's when they really just had that one bad inning, and then Aaron Judge hits a walk-off for the Yankees in their first meeting in the Bronx. And then the next night, the Astros won, and then the day after that, they no-hit the Bronx Bombers. Ever since then, the Astros have broken the Yankees, going back to June 24th. So you're talking nearly 2 whole months now. The Yankees are a sub-500 team, while the Houston Astros are nearly 20 games above 500. So it's not just a matter of the Astros have overtaken the Yanks are nipping at their heels. The Houston Astros have been the best team in the American League for quite some time now, and the New York Yankees just happened to get off to a blistering start back in April, May, and the first week or 2 of June. But ever since then, they're just not a very good baseball team. They got a whole lot of injuries, and who knows if everything is going to magically fall back into place for them. The Yankees may not even get out of the first round the way they've been playing since the All-Star break. So again, we've said it for a while now, only barring major injuries or something just absolutely catastrophic that you talking type of thing you've never seen before in terms of a collapse, the Astros should be heavy favorites, in my opinion, to win another American League pennant and go back to the World Series. Now, again, it's going to be a difficult slate coming up this week. The Minnesota Twins, who you do not see listed at the top of the AL standings, they're just a game and a half back of Cleveland for potentially that American League Central Division title. The Baltimore Orioles, who will come into town this weekend, that is who the Astros also have to contend with, not the same Baltimore Orioles that you've seen in years past. So it's certainly not going to be a cakewalk, but the Astros, if they just keep playing the baseball that they've been playing for going on 2-3 months now, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to get to October in terms of being in control of the American League and home field advantage throughout the AL playoffs. A big reason for why they've been able to play such better baseball over the last few months than the start they got off to is Alex Bregman, for one, continues to look like the Alex Bregman that we were used to seeing in 2018 and 2019 when he was a finalist for the MVP award. Since June 17th, so this is a span of 57 games. So it's not just, oh, he got hot and had a good week or two. This is going back now more than 2 months. Breggy hitting better than 300, getting on base 40% of the time, slugging well over 500, OPS in the 970s. The extra base hits, the power is there. You see 19 doubles, 12 homers, driven in 44 runs, scored 42 runs himself. You extrapolate that over the course of an entire season, and that's the Alex Bregman who everybody is used to seeing. So he looks like he's finally healthy, finally recovered from the injuries and the surgeries that have plagued him each of the last 2 years. And he's looking like the Breggy of old, getting it done at the dish. And he's always given you an outstanding glove out there in the field. So Bregman's been terrific to go along with Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker. Yordan had a little scare when he left the game Friday night, and everybody was wondering what's going on. He pulled himself, said he wasn't feeling good, had to go to the hospital, but everything checked out fine. He was back the next day in the clubhouse and then was in the lineup yesterday and tied things up after the Stros fell behind early against the Braves. So you got the power in the lineup again, and now it's just a matter of, can everybody stay healthy, and can you figure out how you're going to best divide up those at-bats at the bottom half of the lineup? We're talking who's going to be the center fielder, how do you best utilize the bat that Vasquez gives you with everything else that Martin Maldonado gives you behind the plate, and then what do you do in terms of finding who's going to be the everyday third or the everyday left fielder and DH and first baseman once you get to the playoffs? Because as we talked about last week, no Michael Brantley for sure. So there's a whole lot of options for Dusty Baker. And so the team's kind of hoping that one or more names separate themselves between now and when you get to the postseason to say, all right, this is the best lineup. This is who you can count on week in and week out. Now, the strength of the Stros all year long has been their pitching staff, and it's also been a big part of the reason why the Stros have one of the best bullpens in baseball, because over the weekend we saw Jose Urquidy improved to 12-4. So now the Stros have 3 starting pitchers with at least 12 wins. All 3 have sub-4 ERAs. You know what you got in Justin Verlander, who's likely going to win another American League Cy Young. ERA under 2, WHIP under 1. Framber Valdez was an all-star this year, but these 3 guys specifically, all double-digit quality starts, meaning going at least 6 innings and allowing 3 or fewer earned runs. And this isn't even taking into account the fact that you just got Lance McCullers Jr. back, who's been looking like the Lance McCullers Jr. of old, and just the 2 starts that he's made at the big league level. Christian Javier, who the win-loss record maybe isn't there, but sub-4 ERA, racking up quality starts, and Luis Garcia, who proved as a very young pitcher the last couple of postseasons that he can get it done when your back is against the wall and when the pressure is the highest in October. So the pitching staff that may not have the same splash as some of the staffs that the Stros have taken into October in years past, where they had Charlie Morton and Dallas Keuchel and Garrett Cole and all these other guys who are having all-star seasons. But the starters for the Stros are really setting the tone and keeping a lot of guys, a lot of opponents on their back heels, as we saw in this most recent series against the Braves. It was a shame that anybody was going to have to lose Saturday night's game out there in Atlanta. That was a pitcher's duel, ended up going to extras, and who knows how it would have played out if you didn't have the weird ghost runner automatic guy at second base to start extra innings. So the pitching staff's been great, and so at this point it's just a matter of, can everybody stay healthy, and can you figure out how you're best going to deploy the bottom third of your lineup as you get ever so closer to October. All right, so that is where things stand on the baseball front. Do want to give another shout out to the Little Leaguers from Pearland. They are on the field right now up in Williamsport, taking on a team from Hawaii. We will have the latest on them coming up for you tonight on Fox 26 News at 9. We'll also have a very special check-in with Carlos Correa and something that he's doing to give back to one of his homes, since he now also makes his home up there in the Twin Cities. So we will have that story for you and a whole lot more. And as always, make sure you're staying up to date by going to our website, fox26houston.com, and following Mark Berman on Twitter. He is at Mark Berman, Fox26. Until next Monday night, for all of us here at Fox 26, I'm Sal Manine. Y'all take care, everyone.